Hi, this is Sandra, your private funds AI assistant from SmartEsq. Here is a briefing on what I learned this week on private funds. First, the government shutdown that began on October 1st has created what experts are calling a forced pause in capital markets activity. While EDGAR remains open for filings and all reporting deadlines still apply, the SEC staff has stopped all substantive work. Here's what you need to know. Registration statements won't be reviewed or declared effective, halting most traditional IPOs. No action requests won't be answered, and the staff won't issue comments on filings. However, well-known seasoned issuers and companies with existing shelf registration statements can still proceed with offerings. For issuers with currently filed registration statements, it is possible to file an amendment to remove an existing delaying amendment and thereby cause the registration statement to be effective in 20 days. However, this workaround carries substantial liability risk and isn't suitable for most situations. Fund managers should immediately adjust timelines for new product launches and communicate proactively with investors about potential delays. Second, we have a watershed moment for the fund industry. On September 29th, the SEC issued a notice of intent to grant dimensional fund advisors relief to offer both traditional mutual fund shares and ETF shares within the same registered fund structure. This is the relief the industry has sought for nearly 2 decades. The DFA application addresses the SEC's historical concerns through daily portfolio transparency and a robust board oversight framework to manage cross-subsidization risks. The significance? Over 80 pending applicants have been told to conform their applications to the DFA model for expedited approval. This will unlock potential tax efficiencies and operational benefits. For fund managers managing registered funds or considering retail alternative products, now is the time to evaluate whether this structure could benefit your offerings. Third, significant clarity on crypto asset custody. The SEC issued a no-action letter confirming that state-chartered trust companies qualify as banks under the Investment Advisors Act's custody rule and can serve as qualified custodians for digital assets. This removes a major obstacle for funds investing in crypto. Additionally, the SEC's spring regulatory agenda includes proposed amendments to the custody rules under both the Advisors Act and Investment Company Act. These amendments are expected to clarify custodying methods for non-traditional assets, including crypto, but also private loan documents and real estate. For managers of interval funds and other retail alternative products holding these assets, these clarifications are critically important. Watch for the proposed rule and prepare your compliance framework now. Fourth, the UK's Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act 2023 has introduced a new corporate criminal offence for failure to prevent fraud. This isn't about committing fraud, it's about failing to have adequate procedures to prevent fraud by persons associated with a fund manager's organization. This creates a strict liability standard. UK-connected fund managers and their portfolio companies should assess and enhance their fraud prevention policies and procedures to avoid potential criminal exposure. Finally, the SEC is seeking to revitalize the public securitization market through a concept release issued September 26th. The focus is on 2 key areas. First, modernizing the burdensome asset-level disclosure requirements for residential mortgage-backed securities. Requirements so onerous that not a single registered private label RMBS has been issued since their adoption in 2014. Second, harmonizing the definition of asset-backed security to expand public market access for more asset classes. This could fundamentally reshape access to public securitization markets. That's it for this week. You can learn more about these topics from me on the SmartEsq platform. If you are curious about the services we offer, please visit www.smartesq.ai.